During the pandemic, teens experienced higher rates of mental health visits to the emergency rooms across the country. New research shows those numbers are still high. We're talking to a therapist about why. More and more young people are starting businesses. You'll meet a Chicagoan breaking into the beauty business, and a theater legend is inspiring the next generation of stage giants. All that ahead on a very special People to People. Welcome to People. I'm Micah Mater. Now, we asked a group of young people what kind of conversations they'd like to see on the show, and they came up with some great ideas. So instead of me doing the questioning today, we're going to hand the microphones over to them for a very special edition of People to People. It's being led by the students from the Arts and Public Life program at the Green Line Theater on Chicago's South Side. They've lined up some great guests for you and worked very hard to prepare for this show. Then later in the show, I'll be back to talk to the program's directors. So control room, let's try that show open one more time.
Welcome to People. I'm Donald Peters. Let's get started. Erin Mallory is a therapist and the founder and CEO of the Grow Community. Founded in 2012, the Grow Community provides mental health services for boys and men ages 5 and up from low socioeconomic groups and Black and brown communities in Chicago, Cincinnati, and Detroit. Hello, it's great to see you today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's get started. So I know you've been in therapy for a little over 10 years now, and there's still a massive stigma surrounding the conversation around mental health, especially in the Black community, as only 25% of Black Americans do seek mental treatment. Now, do you think this stigma is a reason why most men won't seek therapy?
I think that's part of the stigma. When you think about men, particularly, some of the challenges are we're taught to hold things in ourselves, or we're responsible for taking care of ourselves. And if you try to be vulnerable and talk to somebody else, you're considered weak. And so, I think one of the things that we're really trying to do is let them know that it's normal to talk to somebody, like it's healthy, right? And really challenging that stigma. And I think with a lot of advertising, a lot of media, but I think also the community recognizing, a lot of moms recognizing that their sons need somebody to talk to, or wives recognize like, hey, my husband needs somebody to talk to. And so we'll get calls just like that, because maybe a woman in life saw that, hey, there's a need. And now as they get those services, they appreciate it and they receive it.
Interesting, yeah. And you also mentioned we need to show more advertisements about advocating for mental treatment. Now, do you think the media also plays a role in this stigma?
Yes and no. I think, like I said earlier, the media can do a really good job of really promoting mental health for color people. But also I think too, we need more clinicians in the space, right? And I think we also need to make it attractive that social work and counseling is a field that people should go into so we can support this need. There's a high shortage. There's 4% of clinicians that are color in this space right now, right? So it's a small percentage. I have a lot of colleagues that are saying, hey, they have wait lists. They can't support the demand because of, just a lot of people that want mental services that are of color or particularly Black, but again, they can't support the demand because, hey, they can only do so much. So I think also the media can play a role of encouraging the field of social work, encouraging the field of counseling, and encouraging people to go into that as well.
Yes. And I know you started the Grow Community to help Black men, especially to recover from any of the things they may have suffered. And when you do enter therapy, what are some trends that you do notice in them?
Yeah, trauma is real. Like, a lot of the men that we work with or boys we work with, we see a high level of trauma, exposure to trauma, whether that's one-off events or complex trauma. So multiple events that's happened in their lives, traumatic events that has been exacerbated to the point now that they are displaying certain behaviors or symptoms. And so for us, we just want to create a space of safety, of calmness, and let them know like, hey, this is a place where you can feel safe, but let's unpack some of this trauma, the things that you're dealing with. Another thing too is like our focus is really addressing gun violence within particularly the city of Chicago. Mental health plays a huge part in that. A lot of the boys and men we work with may have got a gun case or may be dealing with things. When you really peel back the layers, they're dealing with a substantial amount of trauma, whether that's trauma in the household, whether abuse in the household, neglect in the household, toxic stress in the household, but then also recognizing they've lost a friend, a cousin, a gun violence. And so you have these barriers that, again, when you're exposed to trauma, neurologically, it does things to you, make you act impulsive, make you angry. And oftentimes they don't know why they act that way. They just know something has happened that made it. And I think that's the part of being trauma informed and really letting our community know those things as well.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. And you did mention abuse in the household. Now, there are many different factors that go into that.
Yes.
And especially our loose gun laws, especially.
Yeah.
So I definitely also wanted to ask, do you think we do need better gun control in America?
Well, I think, when we think about guns in America, unless we're saying we're going to get rid of our Second Amendment rights, then I think we need to look at this from a different perspective. One of the things that's concerning, the University of Loyola released some data around sentencing, and there's been a high increase. There's been a decrease in all of the sentencing, but there's been a high increase in sentencing people with gun cases, right? And so when we think about that, there's been an increase, particularly of black men that are getting class 4 felonies for possession of a firearm. So we have a program right now where it's kind of like a diversion program for men. Often men have the FOID card, have been waiting to get the conceal and carry, but because of the challenges, they haven't got it, but get pulled over, particularly just for no reason, right? And oftentimes profiled, but now are dealing with a class 4 felony. So I think Illinois particularly has one of the strictest gun laws in the country, and that's not doing anything to curtail gun violence in our city. I think specifically what we need to sit back and think about is how do we help our community understand the trauma that they're dealing with? But number two, also thinking about our response to gun violence. And oftentimes it's this rhetoric of let's get tough on gun violence, let's arrest everybody. But in the city of Chicago, we have a lower than 50% clearance rate for homicide. So that means if you shoot somebody in the city of Chicago, you can get the 50% chance you can get away with it. For non-fatal shootings, it's an 8% clearance rate. So that's a 92% chance that if you shoot somebody in the city of Chicago, you get away with it. Now, the guys in these communities, they don't know the numbers, but they know their friends have been shot or killed, and these people are getting away with it, right? So, like, if somebody can feel comfortable to be able to get a gun that lives in Batavia or a very affluent area, if somebody who's in these communities who don't feel safe, what are they supposed to do, right? And they know that, hey, people are getting away for these crimes. So I think we got to rethink that rhetoric of tough on gun laws. I think we got to think about the core of the challenges that's causing this and why people in these communities don't feel safe, right? And like, how do we solve these homicides? How do we solve these non-fatal shootings? Because when somebody is shot in a community that don't like ours, they solve it. But in our communities, it kind of gets passed over, right? And so people, again, recognize that and they don't feel safe. And when you think about Maslow's hierarchy of need, it's all about feeling safe.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing. And where can we find you?
Yeah, so you can find me. Our organization is Grow Community, www.growcommunity.org. You can follow me, Aaron Mallory, on all social media platforms.
All right. And you also have an event coming up.
Yeah, so we'll have an event at the DuSable Museum on the 29th. That's next week from 12 to 2.
All right. When we return, this week's Black Business Spotlight is on a young woman whose skincare line is bringing beauty to the South Side and beyond.